Good morning, everybody. Stolen Bear here. Sunday morning, once again, so you get to see my unshaven face. I want to give you an update on some of my training that I'm doing, what I've done this past week. But as always, I want to thank everybody for watching and subscribing. Up over 100 subscribers now. I don't know what really happened, but my daughter had all of her students sign up, and I was well over 150 subscribers like a month ago, and then those are all deleted for some reason. We're figuring that it's a school account, and so maybe YouTube sees it as a single account and not individual accounts. So we're over 100, so we're making good progress on that. Two things happened to me this morning. I was kind of woke up as I normally am, kind of a sleepy eye, and there's no alarm clock or anything. My room, who has alarm clock nowadays, right? It's all cell phones or watches. And so I kind of look at my watch, and it says 6:01. I'm like, you know, it's Sunday. I go ahead and get up and get an early start. I'm halfway through my routine, making some espresso because it is 6 o'clock. And I look up at the microwave and it says 5:07. So I got an earlier start than I anticipated, but it did give me a chance to respond to some of the comments. Okay, so the second thing that happened to me this morning was, after reading some of the comments, Tom had mentioned, I hope your knees hold out. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I'll scale back a little bit and not wear the pack today. And then as my mind goes to what I preach in physical therapy all the time, functional training, functional training. You're going to have to train for the activity that you're going to be doing. In some cases, that's simply going up a flight of stairs. In other cases, that's a professional athlete training for his sport. So the only way to train the body, train the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons to handle the stress of a pack is to wear a pack. So I quickly overcame that and strapped on the pack to go on my hike. All right, a lot of traffic this morning, so sorry for the start and stops. Talking about the functional training, Early Riser 7-1 said that he tends to get sadistic in his training regimen, and he suggested that I do some backward walking up and down the incline, getting used to the stabilization and the control of that, especially around the knee muscles, and because a lot of people initially have difficulty with that, going up and down the mountains. And that's true, and I've already included some of that, but his suggestions are great because it will add variety to my training, and that way I don't get stale in what I'm doing. And that's, I thought, well, maybe I'll do that today without the pack, but if I get to that point, I can always take the pack off, do that training, and then move on. My training for the week, can't do that. My training for the week started off last Sunday. I guess I really need to get a tripod or something. Get on this side of the sun. Make it a little easier for me to do that. It is the last thing I'm going to really kind of purchase is my camera equipment or my electronics. Give me some time to research it before I do it. If you have any suggestions or recommendations, as far as that goes, I would appreciate that. About memory, storage capability, chargers, what has worked for you and what you think is sufficient to do that. You know, I look at battery chargers, battery packs, and they tend to be heavy. Pause again. Well, the week training started last Sunday. As I mentioned in the last video, I got carried away, my mind drifted, and I ended up going a little further than I thought. And that was right over 10 miles. And then again on Tuesday, I went like 11 and a half miles. And then Thursday, I went over 12 miles, almost 12 and a half. And the same with yesterday. I went 12 and a half, but what I did yesterday, different from the rest of the week, is I went over the Kiwi Scan Bridge 4 separate times, crossed over back and forth on that to increase my incline and decline presence on that. And today I plan on doing essentially the same thing, or maybe I'll try Early Riser 7-1's suggestion of using the retaining wall and doing some eccentric training. So we'll see what we get on that. I'm coming up onto the main road, so I'm going to stop for now, and I'll probably record a little bit later. Yeah, since I went through that explanation, I did a little extra lap around here, around the park. What I wanted to say about this being my second day in a row to be carrying the pack and to be hiking. Initially, when I first started off, even on every other day, and it's always been this way, is that until I get warmed up, I feel the muscle tightness from the previous day. But once I get a good mile into it, everything relaxes. I really, even when I'm cycling or running, once I hit a pace, I can stick to it and just go on. I have a lot of endurance in that way. And I've noticed over the last month, my average mile has been about 16 to 17 minutes. So I'm going about 3.3 to 3.5 miles an hour. And that's been consistent if I'm going up the incline, down the incline, throughout the whole trek. For example, yesterday I did 12 and a half miles right at 3.5 hours. So that's very consistent on that. And that's taking water breaks, restroom breaks and everything. So I'm happy with that. And it seems to be a good pace. I know that's not going to be on the trail. A lot more variables on the trail on that. But it's good for me to maintain that consistency. I realize that I may have been geeking out in my explanation of eccentric exercises. So to explain that a little bit, eccentric, your muscle works in two directions: concentric contractions and eccentric contractions. The concentric is when you flex your bicep, you see it comes up into a little ball. That's shortening, the muscle shortening, bringing, in this case, the forearm up towards the shoulder. Now the tricep is working to counter that action eccentrically. It's lengthening, it's controlling, it's stabilizing that motion so that you're just not slapping your shoulder, right? So the bicep provides the power to bring your forearm and your hand towards your shoulder, and the tricep will control that on that. That's why it's important to train your muscles in the eccentric mode, because it's the controlling, the stabilizing muscle on that. And when you're going downhill, the muscles of your legs are always working concentric and eccentrically, but it's the eccentric one that's controlling that motion. Most injuries actually occur in the eccentric contraction because there's more stress on the muscles and the tendons during that time. They're also the stronger of the contractions, so the force is greater on that. Now you need to train your muscles in that eccentric way. Think about it as your tricep and your bicep. The bicep is the one making the ball, the tricep is the one lengthening. Same thing goes with your legs. You have to think about your hamstring, your quadriceps, your gastrocs, and your anterior tibialis. Controlling the foot, controlling the knee, controlling your hip, and it's the muscles are working eccentrically that's going to control your rate of descent going down a hill. So it has most force put on those muscles, those tendons, and that's why you want to train them now, get the body used to that force, because in our daily life we're not using it in that same manner, that pounding manner going down the hill. So help yourself out, do some training on it. It will alleviate some of your aches and pains on the trail. Okay, I'm just past Wainwright Park, heading back towards the house. So yeah, I'm about 10.5 miles now. I get to about the same distance as I did yesterday. I didn't cross the bridge 4 times, but I did do some eccentric training. I can feel a little difference in my muscles, maybe because it is the second day in a row or because of the eccentric training. After a month of training, I've had no issues as far as joint pain. Hi, it's Denai. Let me stop and talk to her. So that was nice to see Denai on her way to the park to do some Pilates there. So I wanted to thank everybody again for watching the videos and subscribing. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all the comments that you provide on there. It helps me plan for my trip as well and train for the trip. So pack them up, move them out.